Hey everybody, and welcome to my Unruly Housewife channel. I'm doing a story time video for you today, which I haven't done before. And this story time is about why I quit the best paid job I ever had. So we're going to rewind to the 70s, the late 70s, and I'd left school and I was working in a bank. And there was an older girl who worked in the bank, and we'll call her Betty. She was very, very quiet and shy. I didn't really interact with her very much. There was one day when she said to me, "I think I'm going to call you Fluffy." So I was like, all right, love. So she was a bit of a weirdo, but she was pretty shy. She looked like a puppet. I didn't really have anything to do with her. After a while, Betty left the bank. I worked my way up to cashier. Woohoo! I got a letter, and it was like a snail mail letter because there was no Facebook or what have you in those days. But I did have a telephone. And this girl had written me a letter, and I thought, well, she can find out my address. She could have found out my phone number and just rung me up. Anyway, I looked at the letter and it said, "Hey, it was really fun working in the bank. I'd like to be friends with you. Please phone me up if you want to be friends, and we can go and do stuff and hang out." I thought maybe she sent these to everybody, because why would she send it to me? I barely knew the girl. All I wanted to do at that time was hang out with my fiance. We were going to get married. We were in the throes of buying a house. I had no particular interest or, hanging out with her. So I was kind of shy. I didn't know what to do about it and just ignored it like you do. Anyway, a couple of months after that, I'm working as cashier in the bank, and she came into the bank. She approached me and she said, "There's a job going where I'm working now, and you will earn twice as much money as you're earning here. And I've put in a word with my boss for you, and I think you should apply for it." And I said, "Oh, okay, that's really kind of you." And as I said, we were looking at houses and things at the time, and I thought it would be good to earn twice as much money. So two ways about it. Yeah, I was kind of tempted. But when she left, I thought, well, I'm quite enjoying being a cashier. That's what I wanted to do. And so in the end, I just kind of didn't bother. About 3 days later, she came into the bank again. This time she was holding an application form. And both times she had a really weird looking friend with her who was kind of grinning like a Cheshire cat in the background and looking pretty freaky. Anyway, Betty gives me the application form and says, "Why don't you fill this in after work and bring it straight down to my place? My boss is working late. I'll hang back. You could have an interview there and then." So I thought, well, you know what? Maybe I will. I could do with doubling my wages. I'm going to do it. So I filled in the form after work and I went to the place she worked. So anyway, I had an interview and a chat with her boss. He said that she'd been bigging me up all over the place. And he said, "Could you just do a little test?" I did the little test and I passed with flying colours. And they said, "Actually, you know what, you've got the job." So I was absolutely thrilled. And I walked down the corridor. And as I walked down the corridor, who should be coming the other way but Betty? And I said, "Hey, Betty, I've got the job. I'm so excited. I'll be starting soon." And as soon as I worked out my notice. And she went, and walked off. And I thought, that's weird. And I thought, maybe she doesn't want anyone else who might overhear to know that she's been putting in a word for me. I mean, I really didn't know what was happening, but hey, I was over the moon. I had a good job, right, with lots and lots of money. And the next day I quit my job in the bank. So after I worked out my notice, I went to work with Betty. She was in charge of me, and from the moment I got there, she spoke to me like I was a piece of dirt. She wouldn't train me properly. She then rebuked me for not being able to do the things that I hadn't been trained to do. She insulted me. She did things like you were supposed to, well, I mean, people used to make each other cups of tea during the afternoon or morning. Somebody would say, hey, I'll put the kettle on, and we'd all be like, yay, we had a little electric kettle in the office. And what she did to me was she would say, oh, I suppose I better make a cup of tea. Val's never going to offer. Like that. And then I thought, oh, I felt really bad. I said, oh, I never really know when to say. And, so then another day, or later that day, I'd say, oh, hey, anyone want a cup of tea? And she'd say, why would we stop for tea now? We're all like really busy. What's wrong with you? And that happened all of the time. And I couldn't do my work because I wasn't trained, and she wouldn't train me. And when I asked her to explain something to me, she'd say, you're getting paid to do this. I'm not paid to do your job. And she made my life hell. And her and her freaky little friend used to follow me if I went to the toilet, and if I I'm not a man, if I sat in the toilet cubicle like having a wee, they would stand outside and discuss things that were happening in my life, and it was just horrible. It was horrible. I cried every day when I left work. But why did she get me the job there if she hated me? Presumably she got me the job there because she hated me. I put up with this, tried to, because I needed the money, and I put up with it for a long time. And one day, and this was really a really good example of what was going on, she said to me, hey, me and my partner, my fiance, are going to the cinema. Do you and your fiance want to come? And I said, oh, hey, that would be really fun. Yeah, we could hang out. We'd get some time together away from work and stress and everything. And she said, oh, I like it when you lick my boots. And I said, what? And she said, I like it when you lick my boots. I just suggested an evening out, and now you're licking my boots. So, and I still went on evening out. I still wanted to make things right at work. I just wanted to be happy at work. Eventually I told the boss, and he said, she's really sweet and quiet and a little bit shy. She's worked here for ages. She works really well. You, on the other hand, are struggling. You're making her life more difficult because you don't seem to be able to do your work properly. And to be honest, you're describing somebody that I don't recognise. I asked to speak to somebody from like HR, and they said pretty much the same thing. They said to me, just try and get on with her. Just keep your head down and try and be friends with her. But it just didn't improve. I mean, I'm laughing now because it was insane. Who does that? Who gets somebody a job so that they can bully them from day one? And what had I ever done to her? I'd never done anything to her. Ever. I barely knew her in a way before she got me the job. But I'm sure that her and her friend got me that job so they could bully me. Anyway, long story short, despite earning twice as much as I used to, and despite earning twice as much as the person I was engaged to, I quit my job. We'd bought the house by then, the mortgage was horrendous, but nothing was as horrendous as working with Betty. So that's the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to make a blockbusting Hollywood movie out of it, please pay me. And I will be back next time with a polymer clay tutorial. That's my plan anyway. Like, subscribe, leave your comments down below. I love you all. Bye.